Today I am honored to present my research on Russia pivot to Asia, opportunities and challenges for Pakistan. In the early 2010, Russia embarked on a significant strategic reorientation towards Asia, a policy often referred to as its pivot to Asia and pivot to East. This shift was driven by a combination of geopolitical, economic, and strategic consideration, particularly in the wake of deterioration relation with the West. For Pakistan, Russia pivot to Asia present a unique set of opportunities and challenges, particularly in the context of evolving regional dynamics, economic cooperation, and strategic partnership. By leveraging its geopolitical location and exploring areas of mutual interest, Pakistan can strengthen its ties with Russia and embark and enhance its position in the region. Why Russia pivot to Asia? Post-Soviet transition, initially Russia sought integration with the West, but tension over NATO expansion and geopolitical conflict strained relations. Western sanctions after the 2024 Crimean crisis forced Russia to seek alternate market. Asia economy rise present new trade investment and strategic opportunities for Russia. This graph is showing Russia trade volume shift from Europe and Asia over the time. The blue line highlights the Russia trade with Asian trade, which has increased by more than 66%, which was nearly 30 to 25% before this shift. And red line highlight the Russia trade with Europe, which has decreased to nearly 30% due to this shift to Asia. Russian objective in Asia, Russia pivot to Asia is driven by a clear set of strategic objectives aimed at strengthening its economic, geopolitical, and infrastructural ties with the region. This reorientation is not merely a reaction to Western sanctions or geopolitical tension, but a proactive effort to secure long-term growth and influence in a rapidly changing global landscape. One of Russia's primary objects is to diversify its economy and reduce its dependency on Western market. Historically, Russian economy has been heavily reliant on trade and investment ties with Europe and the United States. However, the imposition of Western sanctions following the 2024 Crimean crisis expose the vulnerabilities of this dependency. To mitigate this risk, Russia has sought to expand its trade and investment of this dependency. To mitigate this risk, energy exports, particularly oil and natural gas, are a concurrent of Russian economy. Historically, Russia has been the largest market of Russian energy, but geopolitical tension and the shift towards renewable energy in Europe have promoted Russia to seek alternate market. Strategic partnership. Another key objective of Russia pivot to Asia is to build a strategic partnership that enhance its geopolitical or global standing and counterbalance West influence. In a world increasingly characterized by geopolitical competition, Russia views Asia as the region where it can forgo alliances that bolster its position on the global stage. China, Russia has also strengthened its ties with India, a key player in South Asia, through the defense cooperation and energy deals. A critical aspect of Russia pivot to Asia is the development of infrastructure in the Far East region. This vast and resource rich area has historically been underdeveloped and isolated from Russian economy centuries. By investing in infrastructure projects, Russia aims to integrate the Far East more closely with Asian economy, thereby unlocking its economic potential. How does Russia pivot to Asia influence its bilateral relation with Pakistan? Russia pivot to Asia has had a profound impact on its bilateral relation with Pakistan, marking a notable shift from the historically limited and often strained engagement between the two countries. This strategic reorientation driven by Russia need to diversify its economic and geopolitical partnership has opened a new avenue for cooperation in areas such as energy, defense, regional connectivity. At the same time, it has present challenges that both nations must carefully navigate by adopting a pragmatic and balanced approach. Russia and Pakistan have the potential to strengthen their partnership contribution to regional stability and economic growth. Opportunities and challenges for Pakistan. Russia's strategic pivot to Asia has opened up significant opportunities for Pakistan across various sectors. The shift in Asian foreign policy has created a favorable environment for Pakistan to strengthen its bilateral ties with Moscow. One of the most immediate opportunity for Pakistan lies in the expansion of bilateral trade with Russia. The bilateral trade volume, which reached 920 million in 2022 to 2023, has the potential to grow 10 to 20 billion. Expected trade growth. This graph will show the expected trade growth between two states. The projections are based on annual percentage increase 15% and 25%, 15% in conservative growth and 25% in optimistic growth. The conservative growth scenario assumes 15% annual increase in bilateral trade, representing a moderate and steady expansion in economic cooperation. This graph indicates a linear upper and trade with the trade expected to reach approximately 4 to 5 billion USD by 2035. The optimistic growth show the cooperation and the improved trade policies between the two states. This graph exhibits expectational growth pattern with the trade volume is expected 13 to 40 billion USD by 2035. Economic diversification. Russia pivot to Asia has been created an opportunity for Pakistan to diversify its economy and modernize its infrastructure. Russia has expressed interest in the several high impact projects in Pakistan, including the modernization of Pakistan steel mill. As Pakistan faces an increasing energy demand, collaboration with Russia offers vital solution. The 2.5 billion stream gas pipeline project is expected to enhance the country's LNG transportation infrastructure. Regional connectivity. Pakistan's strategic location at the crossroad of major economic corridor offer immense opportunity for regional connectivity. The revival of the ancient Silk Road, along with the emerging trade routes like the Pakistan-Russian Rail Corridor and the International North-South Corridor transport corridor, can enhance Pakistan access to Central Asia. Russia and beyond. Additionally, the trans-Afghan trade routes open a new market for Pakistan exports to export, reducing dependency on traditional maritime routes. These initiatives can position Pakistan as a regional trade hub, improving logistical efficiency and boosting economic cooperation with Russia and other key stakeholders. Strategic and multilateral cooperation. One of the most significant geopolitical benefits for Pakistan from Russia pivot to Asia is the opportunity to diversify its alliances. By strengthening ties with Russia, Pakistan can reduce its dependency on the Western power and create a more balanced alliance structure. This diversification allows Pakistan to navigate complex geopolitical challenges more efficiently, ensuring that it is not overly reliant on any single part. At the same time, Pakistan can maintain a strong relation with China and regional organizations, positioning itself as a neutral and strategic player in the region. For challenges for Pakistan economic and trade barrier. One of the most pressing challenges for Pakistan is the engagement with Russia is trade imbalance between the two countries. In 2020, Pakistan trade deficit with the Russia stood as 469 million, with the export significantly lower than import. Another major obstacle in the lack of direct banking system between the two countries, which complicate financial transactions, and hamper trade growth. Additionally, Pakistan economic policies are often constrained by its commitment to the international financial institutions such as International Monetary Fund, IMF, imposed conditions and fiscal pressures limits Pakistan's ability to pursue independent economic policies, including expanding trade with Russia. These constraints highlight the need for Pakistan to address structural economic issues and improve its financial system to facilitate smoother trade relations with Russia. While energy and infrastructure projects with Russia hold immense promise, Pakistan faces significant challenge in the implication projects such as the stream gas pipeline, which aims to enhance LNG transportation across country. Geopolitical competition add more another layer of complexity. Russia pivot to Asia is driven by its border railway rivalry in the Western power, particularly in the US. Pakistan increasing engagement with Russia could strengthen its relation with the West. Pakistan internal Pakistan internal security concern and border instability in the region another issue are facing to improve Pakistan and Russia relation. A major limitation in bilateral relation in the lack of strong people-to-people connection and cultural exchange programs. Pakistan and Russia has not a more cultural exchange program rather than India and Russia. Recommendation is strengthening economic ties. If Russia and Pakistan economic ties are more important, Russia and Pakistan sign a free trade agreement and Eurasian Economic Union rather than just Russia alone. Pakistan should help Russia to connect their relation. Pakistan should strengthen defense ties with Russia by modernizing its military capabilities throughout the purchase of advanced weaponry and technology. Pakistan should actively integrate with Eurasian connectivity network by participating in the regional trade and transport corridors such as the INSTC and the Pakistan-Russian Railroad and the CPEC as well. Pakistan must adopt a pragmatic diplomatic approach to maintain balance with the relation Russia and the United States and China, the modern superpowers of the world. Pakistan should prioritize infrastructure development and support trade and energy projects to the Russia, addressing security concerns, particularly in the border region. Expanding educational exchange programs, scholarship programs, and university partnership with strengthened long-term cooperation. Pakistan should actively participate in the regional organizations such as the SCO, EAEU, and enhance its diplomatic economic relations. Pakistan must establish a comprehensive policy framework for long-term cooperation with Russia, covering trade, defense, energy, and cultural exchange program. Thank you.
Especially this production is very much needed in our domestic consumption, our industrial sector, our national GDP, revenue generation, energy security, economy, industrial and other infrastructure development. So both the countries have mutual perspective in oil and gas. So of course there are different challenges we can solve out by the partnership. So this partnership is very important. As the energy player Russia is, Pakistan relies on energy imports, making energy collaboration wonderful by the partnership. On the other hand, the steam gas pipeline, already discussed, is very much opportunistic for us as far as this sector is concerned. Hopefully, it will start in the future working on this pipeline. We hope and we are optimistic once it is in the system. So there will be wonderful opportunities in this sector. Beyond oil and gas, both nations can contribute by exploring clean energy as well. So, the world is basically moving from fossil fuels to clean energy solutions. We have a good opportunity because the natural circumstances are there in both the countries. We can collaborate in energy alternative, clean energy solutions. So as environmental diplomacy is concerned, climate change is a big challenge. Both the nations creating a common ground for cooperation in sustainability and pollution control. We can cooperate on these topics, on these areas. Clean energy technologies, water remediation solutions, industrial pollution control systems. These are very much important as we proceed for the industrialization or industrial sector relevant to energy sector. So, innovative solution to tackle environmental challenges like water security and air pollution through partnership are significant. You know, when we proceed in oil and gas sector, in energy sectors, environmental concerns are byproducts. There are a huge environmental concerns. On the other hand, when the US is announced that it is uh, going beyond the limits, there is an energy emergency in US right now. This energy emergency directly related to fossil fuel industry. So as the world is moving towards the alternative energy resources, clean energy resources, the US is still focused on the fossil fuel industry. So when the superpower is considering this industry uh, as an emergency, so you know the environmental challenges are more high. So to resolve these issues is more important for the country like Pakistan. So we have the capacity, we have the research, we have necessary infrastructure to deal these challenges. So it is opportunity for Russia to avail this all I said from Pakistan. On the other hand, we can get the technology from Russia as we have already done it in last 70s to explore our oil and gas resources in Pakistan. So water challenges is the main concern of my presence here. As far as energy sector is concerned, there are many challenges in Western Siberia, Eastern Siberia, Arctic regions of Russia, which are very much producing in oil and gas resources. So they are basically in the situation of challenges while dealing the water sector, water treatment. Basically, you know, when we explore oil and gas, produced water is a byproduct of oil and gas, which is very difficult to handle, which is you mean on the priority of dealing environmental issues while exploring oil and gas. So the problems like spills contaminate water bodies, ecosystems, wastewater management, groundwater, surface water contamination, all these needs high costs basically. It is very costly to manage these issues. So on the other hand, water challenges are there in Pakistan as well while producing oil and gas. So these are the pictures, actual pictures from, sorry. These are the actual pictures from our fields, oil and gas producing fields. So we face very high challenges while managing this byproduct of water from oil and gas resources. My research is, my focused area is to treat this water through natural resources, to natural means, basically. I worked on this a lot. Uh, it was unsuccessful in early years, but now we are in the capacity to treat this byproduct of oil and gas as hydrocarbon-based water through natural remediation. Natural remediation is a basically technique by which we can treat the oil-based water, hydrocarbon-based wastewater through natural means. Natural means that we can use the in-house plants, in-house water resources, bacteria. By the combination of bacteria and plants, we develop a biotechnology-based system. So this system basically treat the water, clean the water, which contains hydrocarbons, oils. So you know when we don't treat them, basically it flows into the rivers, directly inflow into the Indus River. So once it enters the industry world, we have very much important for us to carry this water clean out of pollution while traveling from north to south into the ocean in the south. So this technology basically, okay, no problem. Uh, okay. So key challenges I have already explained. Yeah, this is a green solution. Basically, you can see the picture. We develop such sort of systems in our production fields. Water is local, plants are local, and on the other hand, we can basically develop a bacterial culture there. So all this is a natural system and locally available in Pakistan because our environment, our geography contains these plants. This environment, we can save uh, the untreated water falling into the river bodies. So this system basically, why it is important for us? Because it is a low cost system. It is feasible in our environment. On the other hand, we can provide this technology to Russia as well because it needs a lot while dealing with the oil and gas production from Siberia, Arctic, and other regions. Uh, so this is very much important. As you know, the uh, SDGs are concerned, SDG 6 and SDG 7, which deals with the clean water and clean energy. So while we adopt this technology, we are basically managing SDG 6 and SDG 7 of the UN platform. So it is very important for Russia when we provide this this technology-based system to Russia while treating the water, because water is a life. It is very important for Russians and Pakistanis as well. So I proposed a project basically on the first stage there would be R&D for 1 year. At the second year there would be a pilot implementation and initial testing as well. In the third year, we can full implementation in oil and gas production field of Russia. And in the fourth year, we can excel this technology to other industrial sectors like textile industry of Russia as well. So it is an opportunity for us to sell this technology to Russia, to cope with the Russia on this forum while treating, while cleaning, while maintaining a clean technology for energy sector. So the benefits would be Pakistan-Russia energy ties, which will strengthen, of course, clean technology exchange contributes to UN SDGs, as I have already said, and it will, of course, reduce the environmental damage in both the countries. Thank you very much.
I am working as a research officer at Rabta Forum International, which is a research organization based in Karachi. The topic of my presentation is Pakistan-Russia trade relations, spatially from 2011 onwards. Why trade relations? What's the significance of discussing trade of Pakistan and Russia or trade in general? Basically, there are two main points of discussing trade. Number one, trade is a source of international collaborations, international cooperation, and hence it promotes international relations. Second point is trade promotes internal growth as well, which aligns well with the 8th Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations as well. Next slide. According to Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, trade is a source of growth, development, and it creates jobs. The multilateral, bilateral, and regional arrangements not only promote inclusive growth, but also provide a number of varieties, you can say, a number of options in the market. And due to the availability of number of options in market, prices are, highly competitive. That is the reason why more choices are available in market at lower prices. According to UNCTAD, trade is a key contributor for employment and job creation. So basically, let's talk about point number 1, that trade is a source of international cooperation and development and promoting international relations. That is the reason why I chose to talk about trade of Russia and Pakistan, trade itself, Pakistan's trade, individual country, Russia's trade with rest of the world, and then bilateral trade of Pakistan and the Russian Federation. For that purpose, I used the HS nomenclature, which is a harmonized system of categorizing all the commodities and products that are traded internationally. All the commodities are categorized into 17 major categories that are given here in the form of the list. If you guys want, I may just read out the groups, or I don't know if I'm supposed to skip it. Anyways, all the commodities are listed here under 17 major groups. So basically, HS nomenclature categorizes all the commodities into 17 major groups. Group number 1 group number 1 includes animal and animal products, number 2 vegetable products, then foodstuff, mineral products, chemicals and allied industries, plastics and rubbers, raw hide, skin, leather and furs, wood and wood products, textiles, footwear, stone, glass, metals, machinery, electrical, transportation, miscellaneous and others. So any commodity that is traded individually basically falls under any of these 17 major groups. All right, basically here is a chart, here is a representation where I have given some figures analyzing bilateral trade of Pakistan and Russian Federation over a period of 2 decades, starting from 2001 and ending at 2020. So after a carefully analyzing these figures, we get to know that during the second decade, that starts from 2011 till 2020, there is an increase of 2.5 times exports of Pakistan to the Russian Federation in the given time, as compared to the one from 2001 to 2010. Here I can link up with my previous point that trade is one of the measures to, you can say, instigate relations, international relations between countries. اگر ہم اردو میں بھی بات کر سکتے ہیں since there is no Russian over here. اگر ہم تھوڑا سا ایک جائزہ لیتے ہیں پاکستان رشیا کے ریلیشنس کا تو ہمیں پتہ چلتا ہے کہ 2011 آنورڈز، ویسے تو خیر 9/11 کے بعد سے ہی ڈائنامکس بڑے مختلف ہوئے ہیں ہمارے رشیا کے ساتھ، لیکن جب ہم 2010-2011 آنورڈز کی بات کرتے ہیں تو ہمیں ایک واضح فرق نظر آتا ہے رشیا کی اپروچ میں بھی اور پاکستان کی اپروچ ٹورڈز رشیا بھی، خاص کر جو 2011 میں ایبٹ آباد انسیڈنٹ ہوا تھا، اس کے بعد جو US مسٹرسٹ بڑھنا شروع ہو گیا تھا پاکستان کے ساتھ، اس کے بعد سے ہمیں ایک بڑا ہی مختلف ایک ڈائمنشن اور ایک امپروومنٹ نظر آتی ہے، ایڈوانسمنٹ نظر آتی ہے. تو یہ جو 2.5 ٹائمز increase in exports of Pakistan ہے رشیا میں, this might be an indication of advancing political and diplomatic relations of Pakistan with Russia as well. اچھا جی, اس کے بعد there is a chart which tells us about the major export destinations of Pakistan, جو کہ ہمیں بتاتا ہے کہ امریکہ, چائنا, افغانستان, یو کے among others are the top exporters for پاکستان. اس کے بعد جب ہم ایکسپورٹ گروپس کی بات کرتے ہیں تو ہمیں دیر از اے پائی چارٹ, ٹھیک ہے. اس پائی چارٹ میں میں یہ ایک ریپرزینٹیشن دے رہی ہوں کہ پاکستان کے کون سے پاکستان کی جو ایکسپورٹس ہیں وہ جو ہم نے ابھی 17 گروپس ابھی ہم نے ان کا ذکر کیا ہے, وہ اس پائی چارٹ میں ہر گروپ کو کیسا ریپرزینٹ کر رہے ہیں. اس وقت جو میرے سامنے پائی چارٹ ہے اس میں جو سب سے میجر ایک چنک ہے, سیگمنٹ ہے, 57% آف دا چارٹ کمپرائزز آف ٹیکسٹائلز. اس کا مطلب ہے کہ پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹ کا 57% صرف اور صرف ٹیکسٹائل سیکٹر سے ہوتا ہے, which is followed by ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس, ٹھیک ہے. اور ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس میں ہمارے فروٹس بھی آ جاتے ہیں, ویجیٹیبلس بھی آ جاتی ہیں, ہمارے سیریلس بھی آ جاتے ہیں, اس میں رائس بھی آ جاتے ہیں, اور پھر یہ مزید اس کی کیٹیگری ہوتی ہے. اس کے بعد میرے پاس ایک چارٹ ہے جس میں میں نے 10 سالوں کا ایک انالیسس بتایا ہوا ہے کہ ان 10 سالوں میں یہی جو 16 گروپس ہیں ان کا کیا ٹرینڈ رہا ہے پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹ میں. اور اس سے ہمیں یہ ایک ریفلیکشن ہے بیسکلی یہ چارٹس اینڈ فگرس کہ پاکستان کی ٹریڈ ان 10 سالوں میں کیسی رہی ہے. تو اس میں بھی ہمیں یہی نظر آتا ہے کہ جو ٹیکسٹائل سیکٹر ہے اس نے جو ہے وہ بیسٹ پرفارم کیا ہے اوور دا پیریڈ آف 10 ایئرز ایز ویل. اس کے بعد جو ہمارا ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس کا گروپ ہے اس کا بھی سملر پیٹرن نظر آتا ہے, اور جو ہمارے باقی گروپس ہیں ہمارے ایکسپورٹ میں ان کا بھی مور اور لیس سیم پیٹرن نظر آتا ہے کہ ان کی بہت تھوڑی سی کنٹریبیوشن ہے پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹس میں. اگر ہم پاکستان کے امپورٹ اوریجن کنٹریز کی بات کریں کہ پاکستان میں جو ہم امپورٹ کرتے ہیں اس کی اوریجن کنٹریز کون کون سی ہیں, تو چائنا, یو اے ای, سعودی عربیہ, کویت, تو یہ آ جاتے ہیں. لیکن انفارچونیٹلی رشیا نہ پاکستان کے میجر ایکسپورٹ ڈیسٹینیشنز کا پارٹ ہے نہ ہی امپورٹ اوریجن کنٹریز کا پارٹ ہے. پاکستان کی میجر امپورٹ گروپس کون سے ہیں؟ سب سے بڑا امپورٹ گروپ پاکستان کا ہے منرل پروڈکٹس. اس کے بعد منرل پروڈکٹ کمپرائزز 29% آف دا ٹوٹل امپورٹس آف پاکستان. اس کے بعد مشینری, الیکٹریکل اینڈ دین کیمیکل اینڈ الائڈ انڈسٹریز. اب ہم رشیا کی میجر ڈیسٹینیشنز کی بات کرتے ہیں. نیدرلینڈس, چائنا, جرمنی, اٹلی امنگ ادرس, بٹ انفارچونیٹلی رشیا کے ٹاپ 20 ایکسپورٹ پارٹنرز میں بھی پاکستان فال نہیں کرتا. اگر ہم رشیا کی میجر ایکسپورٹ کموڈیٹیز کی بات کریں تو جو ٹاپ ایکسپورٹ کموڈیٹی ہے رشیا کی دیٹ از منرل پروڈکٹس, جو کہ رشیا کی ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹ کا 60% بناتا ہے. اگر ہم تھوڑا سا ریکال کریں تو ہم نے پریویس سلائیڈ میں ذکر کیا تھا کہ پاکستان کی ٹوٹل امپورٹس کا تقریباً 30% ہمارا منرل پروڈکٹس ہوتا ہے. اب یہاں ہمیں یہ نظر آ رہا ہے کہ رشیا کی ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹس کا 60% منرل پروڈکٹس ہوتے ہیں. اس کے بعد امپورٹ اوریجن کنٹریز کی اگر ہم بات کریں رشیا کے حساب سے تو چائنا, جرمنی, امریکہ امنگ ادرس, بٹ انفارچونیٹلی ناٹ پاکستان. میجر امپورٹ گروپس کون کون سے ہیں رشیا کی ٹریڈ میں؟ مشینری, ٹرانسپورٹیشن, کیمیکلز اینڈ الائڈ انڈسٹریز. اگر ہم رشیا کی ٹوٹل ٹریڈ کی بات کریں اور اس میں پاکستان کے شیئر کی بات کریں تو بلکہ ہم پہلے یہ بات کر لیتے ہیں کہ پاکستان کی ٹوٹل ٹریڈ میں رشیا کی ایکسپورٹ کا شیئر کیا ہے. یہاں پہ ہم بات کرتے ہیں کہ آؤٹ آف دا ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹس آف پاکستان اونلی 0.71% گوز ٹو دا رشین فیڈریشن. اچھا جی, یہ ہیں ایکسپورٹس پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹ رشین فیڈریشن میں. ہم یہاں پہ یہ شو کرنا چاہ رہے ہیں کہ جو پاکستان کی ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹس ہے رشین فیڈریشن میں اس کے یہ سیکٹرز ہیں. ٹیکسٹائل کمپرائزز 45%, vegetable products comprises 38% among others. اسی طرح اگر ہم رشیا کی ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹ میں پاکستان کے شیئر کی بات کرتے ہیں تو ہمیں یہ نظر آتا ہے کہ رشیا کی ٹوٹل ایکسپورٹس میں سے پاکستان کا جو شیئر ہے نا دیٹ از اونلی 0.003%, which is very meager. Next please. Okay, so basically this is Russia's export groups to Pakistan. یہاں پہ ہم یہ دکھانا چاہ رہے ہیں کہ رشیا پاکستان کو کیا ایکسپورٹ کرتا ہے. 34%, vegetable products, metal 24%, wood and wood products 12%. اچھا جب ہم نے یہ بات کی تھی کہ پاکستان رشیا کو ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹ ایکسپورٹ کرتا ہے, یہاں پہ ہم بات کر رہے ہیں کہ رشیا بھی پاکستان کو ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس ایکسپورٹ کرتا ہے. There might be a confusion or maybe a question as to why. What is the reason? ریزن یہ ہے کہ یہ جو کیٹیگری, یہ جو گروپ ہے ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس کا, یہ ایک بہت بڑا گروپ ہے. جب ہم پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹس کی بات کرتے ہیں تو اس میں ہم بات کرتے ہیں فروٹس اینڈ ویجیٹیبلز ایز ویل. پاکستان کے پاس کینو بہت اچھا ہے, پاکستان کے پاس آم بہت اچھا ہے. اگر ہم سیریلز کی کیٹیگری کی بات کریں تو سیریلز میں پاکستان کا چاول پوری دنیا میں مشہور ہے اور جو رشیا بھی جاتا ہے. اسی طرح اگر ہم رشیا کی ایکسپورٹ کی بات کریں ویجیٹیبل گروپ میں تو یہاں ہمیں نظر آتا ہے کہ سیریلز کی کیٹیگری, سیریلز از ون آف دی کیٹیگریز آف ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس. سیریلز میں رشیا سے ہم آٹا لیتے ہیں, ویٹ. دیٹ از دا ریزن وائی ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس از major export group of both Russia and Pakistan to each other. Only in 2023, Pakistan imported 1.6 million tons of wheat. That is 5.5 times more wheat from Russia than previous years. ابھی تک جو میں نے پکٹوریل ریپرزنٹیشن دی تھی وہ تھا 2011 سے 2020 تک کا ڈیٹا. اب 2021, 22, 23 اور 24 کا ڈیٹا میں نے تھوڑا سا الگ سے کیٹر کرنے کی کوشش کی ہے, اینڈ دیر از اے ریزن ٹو دیٹ. اگر مجھ سے کوئی پوچھے گا تو آئی ول آنسر ٹو دیٹ. اچھا جی, اگر ہم سیکنڈ کوارٹر آف 2020 کی بات کریں یہاں پہ تو ہمیں نظر آتا ہے کہ پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹ رشین فیڈریشن کو ڈراپ ہو گئی تھی. اس کے بعد جو ہم دوسرا ڈپ دیکھتے ہیں وہ یہاں نظر آتا ہے 2022 کوارٹر 2. اس وقت بھی پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹس رشین فیڈریشن ڈراپ ہوئی تھی. اس کے دو وجوہات ہیں. جو فرسٹ ڈراپ آیا تھا وہ ایک آفٹر شاک تھا کووڈ-19 کا, جس کے بعد انٹرنیشنل ٹریڈ اوور آل کم ہوئی تھی. جو دوسرا ڈراپ ہمیں نظر آتا ہے سیکنڈ کوارٹر آف 2022, دیٹ از این آفٹر شاک آف رشین انویژن ان یوکرین. ہاؤ ایور اس کے فوراً ہی بعد ہمیں یہ ٹرینڈ بھی نظر آتا ہے کہ پاکستان کی ایکسپورٹس رشین فیڈریشن میں واپس پیس اپ ہو گئی تھی, اور 2023 وہ سال ہے کہ جس میں پاکستان کی ٹریڈ رشیا کے ساتھ ریکارڈ بڑھی تھی. نیکسٹ پلیز. یہ ایک ٹریڈ بیلنس میں نے اس میں شو کرنے کی کوشش کی ہے 2020 سے لے کے 2022 کا فورتھ کوارٹر تک, کہ جس میں جو بلو بار ہے دیٹ از شوئنگ پاکستان's export to Russia. The orange bar is showing Pakistan's import from Russia, اور یہ جو گرین بار آ رہا ہے یہ ٹریڈ بیلنس شو کر رہا ہے. یہ ٹریڈ بار زیرو سے نیچے اس لیے ہے کیونکہ دس از شوئنگ ٹریڈ ڈیفیسٹ آف پاکستان. اچھا جی, اگر ہم اب ٹریڈ بیریئرس کی بات کر لیں تو بہت سارے ٹریڈ بیریئرس ہیں پاکستان اور رشیا کی ٹریڈ میں. فار انسٹنس میں جلدی ایک دفعہ ان کو دہرا دیتی ہوں. lack of payment channels and banking facilities, absence of PTAs and FTAs, lack of interest of authorities, registration procedure, duty structure, and handling and processing issues. Okay. Basically, business community in Russia and Pakistan both believe کہ پاکستان اور رشیا کی ٹریڈ میں بہت پوٹینشیل ہے, بہت سارے ایونیوز ایسے ہیں جن پہ کام کرنا چاہیے اور ہماری ٹریڈ بہت زیادہ بڑھائی جا سکتی ہے. کرنٹ ٹرینڈ کیا ہے, جیسے کہ میں نے ابھی 2-3 سلائڈس پہلے بات کی تھی کہ 22-23 میں پاکستان اور رشیا کی جو اینول بائیلیٹرل ٹریڈ ہے دیٹ انکریز بائی 50%. ٹھیک ہے, اس کی 2 وجوہات ہیں. ایک وجہ یہ ہے کہ 23 میں ہم نے 2 کروڈ آئل کی شپمنٹس رشیا سے امپورٹ کی تھی. دوسری وجہ یہ ہے کہ جیسے میں نے ابھی بات کی تھی کہ ہم نے 5.5 ٹائمز مور ویٹ امپورٹ کیا تھا رشیا سے. یہ دونوں وہ فگرز ہیں جو 2023 میں ہم نے رشیا سے ٹریڈ کی ہے, جو ایک ایکسٹرا آرڈینری فگر تھا. پاکستان اور رشیا کی ٹریڈ ایڈوانسمنٹ ہم ایک اور فیکٹ سے بھی ریفلیکٹ ہو رہا ہے کہ 2024 میں ہم نے ایک بارڈر ٹریڈ ایگریمنٹ سائن کیا ہے جس کا مقصد یہ تھا کہ چونکہ رشیا کے ساتھ ٹریڈ کرنے میں انٹرنیشنل سینکشنز کی وجہ سے پیمنٹ کے ایشوز آتے ہیں, تو ہم نے اور رشینز نے ایک سمجھداری کا مظاہرہ کرتے ہوئے وی میوچولی اگریڈ آن اے بارٹر ٹریڈ سسٹم, جہاں پہ 2 ایگریکلچرل کمپنیز نے یہ اگری کیا دونوں ممالک سے کہ ٹھیک ہے رشیا سے ہم چک پی لینٹل لے لیں گے اور پاکستان بدلے میں ان کو رائس, اورنجز اور پوٹیٹوز دے دے گا, تاکہ یہ جو پیمنٹ چینلز اور پیمنٹ ایشوز ہیں ان کو ہم جو ہے وہ اوائڈ کر سکیں. ٹریڈ پوٹینشیل میں نے کس طرح ہائی لائٹ کیا ہے, وہ میں نے ایسے ہائی لائٹ کیا ہے کہ پاکستان کی جو میجر ٹاپ ایکسپورٹ کموڈیٹیز ہیں وہ رشیا کی ان میں سے 8 ایسی کموڈیٹیز ہیں جو رشیا کی 20 میجر امپورٹ کموڈیٹیز میں فال کرتی ہیں. اسی طرح جو رشیا کی میجر ٹاپ 20 ایکسپورٹ کموڈیٹیز ہیں اس میں سے 9 ایسی ہیں جو پاکستان کی ٹاپ 20 میں فال کرتی ہیں. اس کا مطلب کیا ہے؟ اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ ایسی بہت ساری کموڈیٹیز ہیں جو ایک کنٹری کی ایکسپورٹ اور دوسری کی امپورٹ ہے. یہ کیا شو کرتا ہے؟ یہ پوٹینشیل شو کرتا ہے کس چیز کا کہ ہم ایک کنٹری دوسرے سے ٹریڈ کر سکتی ہے جو کہ نہیں کر رہی ہے. میں نے ان سلائیڈس میں بہت تفصیل سے پروڈکٹس کا ذکر کیا ہے ود دیئر HS کوڈ, جس میں منرل پروڈکٹس ہیں, مشینری, الیکٹریکل, میٹل, پلاسٹک, ٹرانسپورٹیشن, ویجیٹیبل پروڈکٹس امنگ ادرس. اور میں نے دونوں کے لیے ریکمینڈ کیا ہے کہ پاکستان کیا امپورٹ کر سکتا ہے اور رشیا پاکستان سے کیا امپورٹ کر سکتا ہے. انویسٹمنٹ اسٹیٹس کیا ہے رشیا کا اس وقت پاکستان میں؟ رشیا ویسے تو بہت سارے سیکٹرز میں انٹرسٹڈ ہے, لیکن اگر ہم میجر سیکٹرز کی بات کریں تو ہمیں نظر آتا ہے انرجی کوآپریشن, انویسٹمنٹ ان ایویشن انڈسٹری, اپ گریڈنگ پاکستان اسٹیل مل. ابھی جو ہماری لاسٹ IGC ہوئی ہے پاکستان رشیا کی, اس میں رشیا نے یہ پرپوز کیا ہے کہ رشیا پاکستان کو نئی اسٹیل مل بنا کر دے گا, اگین کراچی میں. اس کے بعد انفراسٹرکچر انویسٹمنٹ میں, ریلوے انڈسٹری میں رشیا بہت انٹرسٹ شو کر رہا ہے. رشیا میں پاکستان کہاں انویسٹ کر سکتا ہے, وہ یہ کچھ سیکٹرز ہیں. کیونکہ پاکستان کا ٹیکسٹائل بہت اچھا ہے تو ہمارے جو انویسٹرز ہیں وہ ٹیکسٹائل ایگزیبیشنز وغیرہ وہاں جا کے لگا سکتے ہیں. ہمارا جو فارماسیوٹیکل انڈسٹری کا سیکٹر ہے وہاں پہ اس کی بہت ڈیمانڈ ہے رشیا میں. ہمارا جو اسپورٹس اکوپمنٹ ہے اس کی بہت ڈیمانڈ ہے وہاں پہ. دس از اے بٹ اباؤٹ 9 سیشن آف دس IGC. ٹو کنکلوڈ میں بس یہ کہنا چاہوں گی, تھوڑی سی لمبی ہو گئی ہے پریزنٹیشن, کہ دیر از انارمس ٹریڈ پوٹینشیل بٹوین رشیا اینڈ پاکستان. The only need is to prioritize one another in their trade by eradicating major trade barriers. हमें PTAs and FTAs साइन करने चाहिए, कम्युनिकेशन प्रोग्राम्स होने चाहिए, जॉइंट वेंचर्स बनाने चाहिए, पब्लिक डिप्लोमेसी को जो है वो एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम्स को इनकरेज करना चाहिए, alternate payment solutions लाने चाहिए, and seeking alternate land route via Central Asia are the keys to optimize bilateral trade of the two countries. Thank you.
The topic that I will be discussing is Pakistan-Russia cooperation in climate security and multilateral diplomacy. So to give you all the very basic introduction, why there is a need to study climate security is basically, as we all know that the world is facing extreme weather events. The temperature is rising 1.2 degrees Celsius. And there are 200 million people worldwide that could be displaced by 2050 as per the UNHCR report. And climate-induced conflicts are increasing in Asia, Africa, I mean all over the world. So basically these are the some nuances that I am trying to convey here, is that how much climate security is important and how great its implications are. So why Pakistan and Russia should even consider it as a topic for collaboration? It's that I will be discussing further how much implications it has on Russia and Pakistan and how it is interconnected. To give you all a basic understanding of my research, so basically what I do is the methodology that I use was a comparative case study analysis as well as policy discourse analysis. So the comparative case analysis, for the comparative case analysis, the two models that I used was, one was China-Pakistan, that is basically CPAC, and the other model that I used was European Union model of climate security. So the policy discourse analysis is the platform, the multilateral platform that I focused was SCO, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. My research questions are basically how can Pakistan and Russia align their climate goals, what role can SCO play, and what policy and financial mechanisms can enhance the collaboration. Okay, so Pakistan-Russia relation ushered towards the cooperation. So basically in this part, I'm trying to give a very brief introduction about, a very brief background on the kind of relations that Russia and Pakistan has since their inception. So I mean, most of the people here, most of the presentations that you guys have heard, आप लोगों ने ये काफी मर्तबा सुन लिया है. So I'm just gonna give it a really brief go. Since the Cold War era, there was a very limited interaction due to the Pakistan and US alliance with the enemies, right? So, and then we saw a very shift after the post-Cold War. And in the recent development, we have seen the 2023 bilateral political consultations where we agreed on continuing our bilateral relations. So, and we also have seen different joint military exercises, for instance, the Druzhba, and 5. So, yeah, amid all this, the idea is that we can also have climate cooperation. Let's discuss why climate cooperation is important, why there is a need, and why we even are discussing it. This part is basically the answer to that. So there are huge climate implications of extreme weather events. Pakistan basically, Pakistan's climate risk profile, let's discuss the profile. We are facing extreme weather events, the 2022 flood, we all have the idea what happened, how greater the implications were. There were 30 billion economic losses. It affected 33 million people. The recent heat waves in Karachi, in Sindh as well, it is declining the GDP rate by 3.8%. It is causing food insecurity in Pakistan. And the specific figure that I have here is the 40% reduction in Indus River flows expected by, it is expected to decrease by 2050. And let's discuss a bit about the Russia's climate risk and the emerging crisis. So what is happening in Russia? Since the climate is a very, it transcends border. It's not a very, it's not a national issue. It's the global issue. It does not stick to the one border. It transcends the border. So basically, Russia is also facing the glacier melting phenomena that we are also facing. The 65% of Russia's land is permafrost. Melting causes the infrastructure collapses. And it is estimated that the 97 billion will be damaged by 2050. It is also the occurrence of wildfires and heat waves is also very common there. For instance, the 2021 Siberian wildfires. Moscow has reported 39 degrees Celsius in 2023, which is huge. And energy disruptions and economic risks, the infrastructure loss that we have discussed is obviously linked with this point also. So melting permafrost, it threatens the gas pipelines and risks the global markets. And similarly, the agriculture shifts like Pakistan is facing. So now that we have discussed the implications of climate, we have the idea how much similarities we have between Pakistan and Russia in terms of climate risk and its implications. So the interconnectedness, I will just briefly put everything together that we have discussed. So the Arctic that is melting is linked with the weather of Pakistan as well, since it can disrupt the wind connections and it can impact the monsoon, right? So that is the greater implication of that. So Russia's disrupted energy supply can cause higher energy prices in Pakistan. So that is the answer to my question, why we need climate studies. Next is the coming back to our models that I have told you guys already in my research methodology, that we will be doing the analysis through these models and what SCO can learn from these models. So basically, the China-Pakistan Climate Partnership Model, Junsa, that was basically the CPAC, the part of CPAC, was uski success ki wajah kya thi? What was the reason behind the success of those projects? There were 25. First, I will let you know the figures that was why it was successful. The 25 billion in green investment. So basically, these investments were made in the renewable energy sector, solar, wind, hydropower. And there was the Quaid-e-Azam solar park, that is creating 1,000 megawatt electricity, which is South Asia's largest. So technology transfer and training program that is actually giving the training to the engineers in Pakistan. So this all happened with the collaboration, the bilateral collaboration between Pakistan and China. What we can learn from that is to establish a regional climate fund similar to that of CPAC, and develop the similar clean energy initiatives that can help both the countries and also ultimately help the region in dealing with the climate crisis. The second is the European Union climate security model. So basically, the European Union, you people here might have an idea about it, that they have the system of legally binding the member states with the declarations and commitments. So they have the legal binding particularly. So that helps them to deal with the climate implications. They have Green Deal, they have carbon neutrality deal by 2050 that they have to follow. So these deals have the particular clauses that the member states have to follow. So also, the carbon pricing and emission trading system, it also impacts the carbon pricing and the emission trading, right? So the lesson we can learn from here is we can generate a system where we have these legal bindings in SCO platform as well. When we go back to the SCO platform, and since we all have I give you the idea about the models that we are studying. What I want you all to know what SCO is actually doing. So to make it very short, actually SCO does not have any policy document. When I go through the SCO portal, it does not speak about it speaks about the climate change, it speaks about the climate insecurity, but it does not specifically have any policy documents. So basically, I understand that it is very, SEO is not as old as European Union, but it still lacks here. And there is a lot that SEO can do. It has the potential. It is a regional organization that is emerging, really well, and it's very active too. So why not use that platform to actually talk about these serious issues? To reinforce the points that I have already made, there is no legal agreements, geopolitical rivalries exist, because of which making the legal bindings might be difficult. Moving to the last point, that is my actionable recommendations. These recommendations I backed by the empirical evidences that we have, that I have discussed earlier, the European Union and the CPEC. So it is suggested that the SEO should strengthen the climate security framework. To begin with, make one, and develop a Pakistan-Russia climate fund for energy projects, create an SEO climate research consortium, and explore hydropower and renewable energy investment, push for the global climate financing. So implementing the green energy corporations, that is basically one of my recommendations. How the green energy corporation can work is to have the similar kind of a model that of SEO, that of CPEC. One, we can have the regional project fund where every member state can pinch in some money, and then through that fund we can have the green energy corporation to work. So this is a call for action, and my research basically is to put in the simple form, it was basically a call for action to the climate, to deal with the climate insecurity. Thank you so much.
Okay, and whatever he has presented, it was like a scientific touch that he has presented here. Besides, we learned about trade, relations between Pakistan and Russia, and in the end, we also learned about climate security. And let me say that, especially the second uniqueness of this session was this, that in this session we have discussed about the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. And that was the question asked from a lady, NGO lady, in the first session, in the plenary session, that she was addressing to our speakers. And she was asking about it, okay, why not you people have discussed about these SDGs and the climate and all this. So I think she was supposed to attend this session. But I think she is not present here, and she has left the conference. So anyways, I must say that congratulations to you all, to all the speakers. And Congratulations to all the audience who have listened to you all with patience. Because thank you very much.